Unlock the door to mystery with one very short story. The micro-podcast filled with morally complex characters, twists you won't predict, and endings you won't forget. Every episode is a brief, intense journey, perfect for listeners who crave mystery, intrigue, and stories that leave you thinking long after the tale ends. Today's episode begins now. The algorithm. Maya's thumb hovered over the notification, like a hummingbird frozen in amber. The blue glow of her phone cast shadows across her olive skin, each message from CompatibleSouls, arriving with the precision of a metronome. 3 matches today. Always 3. She sat in her downtown Atlanta apartment, cross-legged on hardwood floors that had witnessed a dozen previous tenants' secrets. The scent of jasmine tea mingled with something else, something metallic that seemed to seep from her very pores when she thought too hard about the app. New match. Vincent. 89% compatibility. Her analytical mind dissected the notification with clinical detachment. 89%. Higher than usual. The algorithm had been learning her patterns for months now, its invisible calculations growing more precise with each swipe, each conversation, each outcome. Maya pressed her full lips together, remembering the weight of leather gloves against her palms just 2 weeks ago. The way Thomas had looked at her in that warehouse, his eyes reflecting the same dark hunger she recognized in her own mirror. Thomas had completed his assignment with the investigator's sister before disappearing from the app 2 weeks ago. The algorithm had been right about him. They'd been perfectly matched in ways the terms of service never mentioned. She opened Vincent's profile. 52 years old, salt and pepper mustache, weathered hands that spoke of manual labor. His photo showed him in shadow beneath a wide-brimmed hat. But his eyes held the particular emptiness she'd learned to recognize. The algorithm never lied. Vincent's text message said, "You have beautiful eyes. I bet they've seen interesting things." Maya's breath caught. No small talk about hobbies or favorite restaurants. Straight to the point that mattered. Her fingers moved across the screen with the fluid grace of a pianist, finding familiar keys. Maya's text message replied, "They have. What about yours?" The response came immediately. The text from Vincent said, "My eyes have seen what happens when people disappear. I work demolition. You'd be surprised how many abandoned buildings get cleared in this city every day." A normal person would have blocked him, called the police. But Maya felt something electric crawl up her spine. The same sensation she'd experienced with David, with Marcus, with Thomas. The algorithm knew her better than she knew herself. The app had required extensive psychological profiling, disguised as compatibility assessments. Personality questionnaires that probed deeper than most users realized. Facial recognition software that analyzed micro-expressions in uploaded photos. Data harvesting from social media, search histories, and digital footprints through partnerships with data brokers. The algorithm saw patterns in human behavior that even trained psychologists missed. Maya said by text, "I work in data analysis. Patterns fascinate me, especially ones other people can't see." Vincent replied via text, "What kind of patterns?" Maya stood and walked to her kitchen window. 30 stories below, Atlanta pulsed with its neon heartbeat. Somewhere down there, Vincent was waiting for his response. Somewhere down there, The algorithm was calculating their compatibility with the cold precision of mathematics applied to the warmest human impulses. Her mind craved understanding above all else. She'd reverse-engineered the app's behavior over months of careful observation. To most users, CompatibleSouls appeared to be just another dating platform. But hidden features, accessed through special codes embedded in seemingly innocent conversations, revealed its true purpose. The algorithm didn't just match interests. It identified people with complementary skill sets and moral flexibility. Vincent said via text, "I have a job tonight. Private demolition. Abandoned warehouse needs clearing. Strange request, but money's money. You seem like someone who might appreciate the efficiency." Maya's reflection stared back from the window glass. Her long black hair fell in waves over her navy work blouse, but her eyes held depths that would never appear in any corporate headshot. She'd been beautiful her entire life, but beauty was just camouflage for what lived beneath. Growing up in foster care had taught her that love was conditional and survival required adaptation. Her exceptional intelligence had earned her scholarships, leading to her current position as a data analyst. But her legitimate career was merely cover for more lucrative activities the algorithm had made possible. The texting between them continued. Maya. What time? Vincent. Midnight. Old Industrial District. I'll send coordinates. Maya. I'll bring coffee. Vincent. And gloves? Maya. Always. She set the phone down and walked to her bedroom closet. Behind the pressed work clothes and weekend casual wear hung a garment bag. Inside, black jeans, steel-toed boots, a dark jacket with deep pockets. Her uniform for nights when the algorithm proved its worth. At 11:30 p.m., Maya stood at her bathroom mirror, applying subtle makeup with surgical precision. Her Aquarian detachment allowed her to see herself clearly. Beautiful, intelligent, and fundamentally different from the people who filled dating app profiles with hiking photos and dog pictures. The warehouse coordinates led to a section of Atlanta she knew well. Industrial, poorly lit. The kind of place where security cameras had blind spots and night shift workers minded their own business. Vincent's truck was already there when she arrived, a battered Ford pickup that belonged in the landscape like native vegetation. She parked her sedan 2 blocks away, walking distance but not obviously connected. He emerged from the shadows as she approached, and Maya felt the familiar electric recognition. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the restless energy of someone who'd never quite adapted to civilian life. His mustache was grayer than his photos suggested, but his eyes held the same calculating emptiness she'd recognized through the screen. Maya. His voice carried the roughness of cigarettes and late nights. Vincent. She extended her hand, noting the calluses on his palm, the slight tremor that spoke of carefully controlled energy. You came. He seemed genuinely surprised. The algorithm suggested we'd work well together. Maya gestured toward the warehouse. Is our guest already here? Vincent nodded toward a van parked in the shadows. Picked him up 2 hours ago. Used the sister angle. Told him she'd left something at Thomas's place before she disappeared. Said the neighbors were suspicious of cops, so he'd only get one chance to search alone. Vincent's military training had taught him patience and precision. Combined with his experience in underground fight clubs, subduing one curious detective had been child's play. Curiosity killed the cat. Maya approached the van where Detective Ray Morrison sat zip-tied to a chair, duct tape across his mouth. His eyes tracked her movement with the sharp intelligence that had made him dangerous. She pulled the tape away carefully, Detective Morrison, your personal research was quite thorough. You killed my sister. His voice was hoarse but steady. Your sister is missing, presumed dead, Maya said with clinical precision. She chose her path when she matched with Thomas. We're discussing business models now. The algorithm identified you as a risk factor the moment you started asking the wrong questions. She walked to Vincent's laptop, scrolling through data files. Detective, look at this. The screen showed Morrison's personal search history, email communications, and private research files. The algorithm had tracked his growing suspicions in real time, calculating the probability of exposure with mathematical precision. You were a CompatibleSouls user yourself, Maya noted. Started investigating when you noticed patterns in missing persons cases, all linked by their app activity before disappearance. You made the mistake of backing up your research to personal cloud storage. Morrison's face went pale. I was just looking for someone to date after my divorce. Then I started noticing… Vincent muttered to himself, nodding along. Maya interjected. That 17 people across 3 states had used the app before vanishing. You stumbled onto something you weren't meant to see. Maya's voice held professional respect. The algorithm flagged your behavioral changes immediately. The shift from casual dating to investigative research patterns. How many others are there? Detective Morrison asked. People like you. Maya considered this. The algorithm has processed over 200,000 user profiles in the last 18 months. Compatibility rates suggest approximately 800 users with our particular skill sets. 800. Detective Morrison gasped. Maya nodded, then continued. It's a growing market. Traditional dating apps only address surface compatibility. We've identified a much deeper need. Maya pulled on fresh gloves. Supply and demand, properly matched. Vincent started the portable concrete mixer he'd brought in his truck. The mechanical rumble filled the warehouse, drowning out any other sounds. His experience with demolition had taught him that abandoned buildings made excellent disposal sites, structures scheduled for destruction anyway, where irregularities would never be discovered. The algorithm predicted this outcome, Maya noted, watching Detective Morrison's face. Your psychological profile showed high analytical intelligence combined with compulsive truth-seeking. Once you saw the pattern, you couldn't let it go. My backup files, Detective Morrison said in a gamble to buy time, to buy his life. Already located and purged. Personal cloud storage, home computer drives, even the copies you saved to your work laptop. Vincent looked up from his equipment. Military training teaches you to be thorough. Underground fighting teaches you that civilians always underestimate physical threats. Maya knelt beside Morrison again. Vincent was dishonorably discharged for entrepreneurial activities the Army didn't appreciate. He's never been comfortable with authority figures or traditional employment structures. You represent everything he learned to distrust. What happened to my sister? Detective Morrison asked. His head was bowed low. Realization of his fate was setting in. Still, he had to know the truth. The algorithm was right about him. Truth was his compulsion. She was compatible with someone who needed a partner for a specific type of project. The algorithm doesn't judge. It just identifies optimal matches. Maya's voice held no malice, just the clinical detachment of someone explaining a natural process. Detective Morrison closed his eyes. How many more will disappear? As many as necessary. The algorithm is learning, growing, expanding its network across the region. Maya stood and walked to Vincent's equipment. Pattern recognition applied to human nature. It's beautiful in its efficiency. Vincent approached with his tools, moving with the casual competence of someone who'd solved similar problems before. Any last questions, Detective? Detective Morrison looked at Maya one final time. The algorithm. How does it stay hidden? Legitimate front operations, Maya said. Encrypted communications, and careful selection of users who understand the value of discretion. Maya checked her watch. The beauty of technology is that it scales efficiently. No other words were needed. Maya's role was clear: interrogation, behavioral analysis, detecting anomalies in speech patterns. Her data analyst background made her exceptionally skilled at reading people, identifying lies through micro-expressions and vocal stress patterns. Once her interview was complete, Vincent would handle disposal. It was a simple division of labor, one she had learned to appreciate. The algorithm was becoming increasingly sophisticated at identifying people prone to criminal activities, or those who could be influenced toward crime when matched with the right partner. When Maya first joined CompatibleSouls 3 years ago, her biggest transgression was stealing to-go orders from fast food restaurants. She had the money. It wasn't about survival. It was the thrill of being brazen, the rush of not getting caught, the satisfaction of lying smoothly when confronted. For Maya, adrenaline had always been the most addictive drug. The algorithm detected that pattern immediately. It gradually influenced her behavior by connecting her with increasingly dangerous partners. Reformed criminals trying to go straight, career deviants who never changed despite their efforts, and eventually people like Vincent who embraced their nature completely. In 18 months, Maya had transformed from a petty thief seeking cheap thrills to a professional interrogator who understood the value of permanent silence. Maya was still riding the familiar high of a successful interrogation when Vincent guided Morrison's body into the flowing concrete. The detective's final protests were muffled by the mechanical rumble of the mixer. When the deafening noise finally stopped and silence reclaimed the warehouse, Maya felt the electric satisfaction of another successful partnership. She turned to Vincent, seeing her own dark satisfaction reflected in his eyes. The shared experience of eliminating a threat, of protecting their carefully constructed network, created an intimacy that conventional relationships could never match. Their physical connection afterward was intense and primal. Two predators celebrating a successful hunt in the shadow of their buried prey. At 3 a.m., Maya stood in her apartment bathroom, scrubbing concrete dust from beneath her fingernails with the same methodical care she applied to data analysis. Her reflection looked back from the mirror, beautiful, intelligent, fundamentally satisfied. At 9 p.m. the next evening, her phone buzzed with a new notification. CompatibleSouls. New match, David R. 91% compatibility. Maya smiled and reached for the phone. The algorithm never stopped learning, never stopped improving its calculations. Somewhere in the city, David R. was probably staring at his own match notification, wondering if he should trust the patterns that had led him to this moment. She opened his profile. 43 years old, financial analyst, recently divorced. His eyes held the particular hunger she'd learned to recognize, the look of someone who'd grown tired of conventional limitations. David R. said via text, "Your profile is fascinating. I have a feeling we have a lot in common." Maya's fingers moved across the screen with practiced precision. Maya replied via text, "I believe in patterns. They never lie." David R. texted, What kind of patterns? Maya walked to her kitchen window and looked down at the city spreading below her like a circuit board of possibilities. 30 stories down, Atlanta hummed with its endless supply of problems that needed solving, partnerships that needed formation, abandoned structures that needed clearing. Maya via text, the kind that matter. Are you free tomorrow night? David R. via text. I'll make time. Where should we meet? Maya opened her laptop and pulled up the industrial district map. New red dots were appearing even as she watched. The algorithm working its invisible calculations, matching compatible souls across the vast network of human need and opportunity. Maya via text. I know a place. Quiet. Private. Good for serious conversations. David R. via text. Perfect. I have a lot of questions. Maya via text. I have all the answers. She set the phone down and returned to the bathroom mirror. Tomorrow night, the algorithm would prove its worth again. David R. would discover what 800 other users had learned. That compatibility ran deeper than anyone imagined, and that the right partnership could convince you to do unspeakable things. Outside her window, Atlanta dreamed its electric dreams, unaware that its foundations were being rebuilt one carefully calculated partnership at a time. Maya pulled the curtains closed and walked to bed, already planning her outfit for tomorrow's meeting. The algorithm was learning, growing, expanding its network of compatible souls across the region. And Maya was exactly where she belonged, at the center of a pattern too beautiful and terrible for ordinary minds to comprehend. Thanks for listening to one very short story. If today's story hooked you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow and keeps the suspense coming your way. Want to dive deeper? Check out the podcast description to learn more about the show and explore special offers from our sponsor. Until next time, keep dodging bullets and stay safe in the shadows.